5 o'clock. Call meeting order of the Greenwood Park Board for September, October 5th, 2021. First item on the agenda is the approval of the minutes from the September 7th meeting. I believe everybody got a copy of the minutes. Does anybody have any additions or corrections? Okay, hearing none, need a vote to approve the minutes. A motion to approve the minutes.
So moved.
Need a second on that motion?
Second.
Okay, it's been moved by Mr. Burton, seconded by Mr. Dietrich. All those in favor, Mr. Dietrich.
Aye.
Mr. Burton.
Aye.
Ms. Kennedy.
Aye.
And I also, motion carries. Okay, second item, the attorney's report.
The first item I have for consideration this evening is a use agreement. It was actually tabled from our previous meeting. This is the Skatopolis 2022 with Jake Smith as the user. They would like to use the Northeast Park, including the skate park, from 10 a.m. till 10 p.m. on June 18th of 2022. I believe there was maybe some more information that we were hoping to get.
Yeah, I talked about the word they described the stage was a quaint stage. We got more information on that. It's a basic riser system, 20 by 15. That's the approximate size. They'll have a sound company that'll furnish the amplification. They'll have a light bar set up, a couple monitors as well, some external speakers, and they're proposing some scaffolding for the lights, kind of like hang the lights off of as well.
So they want to have 10 bands. Big day. Are they wanting just the skate park area or they want the whole park?
Skate park area.
I would say necessarily though, they'll probably be kind of around it as well.
Yeah.
I mean, not on the actual.
Yeah.
The basketball court will be occupied, in addition to the skate park area surrounding.
Well,
I think they're underestimating the attendance a little bit. I mean, if you got 10 bands, there's close to 100 people there. So
yeah. You foresee any problems with this going till 10 p.m., being close to all those neighbors like we are there?
Yeah, I mean, there's going to be another one on the agenda too that's going to be concerning as well.
And we have no way of knowing who these bands are.
Correct.
Or what their content may or may not be, what they're playing.
And we have plenty of time on this one. There's no harm in doing our due diligence and go back and asking them bands they have, they're flexible on their time. Trying to be a good neighbor and considerate.
Yeah.
People surrounding the park.
Yeah, I think on an event such as this, I think details, just so.
I personally would like a list of the bands so I could look into them.
Yeah, I think we're obligated, since we're so close to neighbors there. I think we're obligated to get as many details as we can about this. One for this thing going 12 hours. That's not including setup time, tear down time, what kind of musical content there's going to be.
The position of the stage, because if you're setting up the stage where the amplification is going away from the houses, that might help out as far as.
Yeah, you might ask for some kind of layout design on what they're planning on using. I don't know how much the parking lot they want to use, if you guys would be comfortable with them setting up a stage in the grass. I don't want to seem like we're picking on them, but I think we want to make sure we get as many details as we can about this. Since
Yeah, I don't see it that way.
never done anything with these.
We're doing a responsible thing.
Yeah.
Sure.
They will also have to go to the Board of Public Works and Safety.
Yeah.
For a waiver of the noise ordinance as well. So that will be kind of an additional safeguard for purposes of the neighbors.
Yeah.
Because I assume the sound will be loud.
I would imagine.
How many cars does that area, I mean, including the school and the parking lot for the park?
I think that lot there, that southwest lot, probably 60, 65 car parking lot.
Mhm.
Just for the parking?
And that's the only parking lot that's exclusive to the park. The rest of it, that's Northeast, that's school corporation.
Yeah, it's quite a walk for some people. I'd hate for parking to overflow out of that neighborhood.
Yeah.
We had issues like that before in another park.
Well, I'm happy to take a look and let us do our homework.
Yeah, I think that's
Because
probably.
there's another one on here very similar to this one as well.
Okay.
I think you guys are potentially gonna have similar concerns about.
Okay, Dick, you okay with that?
I'm all in favor of it.
Okay, Laura, you okay with this? You have any questions, Laura?
No, no questions.
Okay, so we need a motion to table this.
You can just table it.
Okay, so we'll just, so we don't need to vote on table.
No.
Okay, so we'll just table this item until staff can come back, hopefully with a little more information for us. Thank you.
The next item for your consideration tonight is the ratification of a use agreement. That's with the Cub Scouts for their free fishing day. That event actually happened, took place on September 25th from 1 p.m. to 4 p.m. at Freedom Park at the pond. At Freedom Park.
So we were, I think, made aware of this like the day after our last park board. So the timing wasn't gonna work out. So we had sort of more of a ratification than anything else.
This isn't our free fishing day. This is above and beyond that.
There's 2 fishing days that we take advantage of. We do the early one, and then this one is the later one. That Cub Scouts typically try to do this.
Any other questions or comments? Okay, hearing none, I need a motion. I'm totally.
It's all right. Motion to ratify the use agreement with the Cub Scouts for their free
Motion to
fishing day.
ratify, motion to ratify the agreement with the Cub Scouts for their free fishing day.
So moved.
Need a second for that motion?
Second.
Been moved by Mr. Dietrich, seconded by Mr. Burton. All those in favor, Mr. Burton,
Aye.
Mr. Dietrich,
Aye.
Ms. Kennedy,
Aye.
I'm an aye also, motion carries.
Next item for consideration is a use agreement with Tony Molinaro, and that is for his Tricks and Treats skateboard / costume contest that they would like to host at the Northeast Park, the skate park, on October 30th, 2021, from 2 p.m. till 5 p.m. on that date.
I have briefly spoken to this gentleman. Seems very responsible. The timing of this too, the 2 to 5 seems reasonable on Saturday. I'm not trying to advocate, for it, just letting you know the facts that I do know. You have to answer questions.
Speakers. We don't have the issue with them, with a vendor coming in there, set up, to sell merchandise.
They got Johnson's Barbecue.
Yeah, and they also talk about No Man's Skate Shop,
Say that again.
They've also mentioned here, they're talking about a skate shop coming in possibly.
No, man. Yeah, he's a guy who was an advocate for the skate park. We were redesigning, so he's part of that community
Okay.
outreach group. Paul. I think Johnson Barbecue truck, I think we've used them before on our events.
And the use agreement does have a provision of that the food trucks need to be parked in parking areas and not on grass.
Portable toilet, I'm sure he'll work that out with staff on where that's gonna be.
I think the thing that we've got to be consistent on is the emission aspect. If I can bring that to your attention, because he does make, he says emission fee. He says, no, I'm sorry, I read that backwards. There is no emission fee.
Pretty hung up on 50 as attendance.
It's a cutoff. Okay, any other questions or comments regarding this? Okay, hearing none, I need a motion to approve the use agreement with, was it Tony Molinaro for the Tricks or Treats skateboard / costume contest at Northeast Skate Park?
So moved.
In a second.
Second,
Been moved by Mr. Burton, seconded by Mr. Dietrich. All those in favor? Ms. Kennedy?
Aye.
Mr. Burton?
Aye.
Mr. Dietrich?
aye.
And I am an aye also. Motion carries.
Next item for your consideration is a sponsorship agreement with Johnson Memorial Hospital. That's for the 2022 Summer Concert Series. It's the same provisions as last year as to what that sponsorship will include, as to what signs will be included, and they'll be paying $5,000. They'll be giving a restrictive donation for $5,000 for those sponsorship elements.
Same partner we had this year for concert series. I believe they were a partner of 19.
I don't think
Last year, this year was their first year. Good partner. They're engaged. They come to a lot of the concerts and stuff. Booth, interact with the public.
Questions or comments? Okay, hearing none, I need a motion to approve the use, the
The
letter of
corporate-
understanding,
it's a corporate sponsorship
corporate
agreement.
sponsorship agreement with Johnson Memorial Hospital for the 2022 Summer Concert Series.
So moved.
Need a second?
Second.
Okay, it's been moved by Mr. Burton, seconded by Ms. Kennedy. All those in favor? Mr. Burton,
Aye.
Ms. Kennedy,
Aye.
Mr. Dietrich,
Aye.
and I am an aye also. Motion carries.
Next item for consideration is the advertising agreement and associated addendum with Town Planner. And that's for this year. The total is $6,049. It's the same agreement as we've done at least the 2 years I've been here. So for the past 3 years.
This is probably out of all of our marketing outreaches that we do, it's quite possibly one of our biggest ROIs that we have as far as the coupons that are coming in free exchange, things like that. So we're certainly getting a return on this.
Yeah, I see it, and I always think about cutting coupons.
I think they tear out.
They do. This is a- Questions or comments from the board?
Pretty good outreach, isn't it?
It is, and it's for really minimal cost.
Yeah.
It's a good outreach.
Anything else from the board? Okay. Hearing nothing else, I need a motion to approve the advertising agreement with Town Planner.
So moved.
Need a second?
Second.
Been moved by Mr. Dietrich, seconded by Ms. Kennedy. All those in favor, Mr. Dietrich,
Aye.
Mr. Burton,
Aye.
Ms. Kennedy,
Aye.
and I'm an aye also. Motion carries.
Next item for consideration this evening is a license agreement, and that will be with Hills Acres LLC. It's in order to place a park bench and a trash receptacle, basically at the Valley Vista Animal Hospital. Yeah, on their private property.
You guys are aware, we're updating all the benches, trash receptacles on Wetland Trail. One of them that was around the apartments. It was on a big steep incline. I didn't think it was conducive for that anymore. So that's getting removed, and we're going to relocate the location with the new bench and trash receptacle. And this is the area that we've identified as being suitable for that. Unfortunately, we don't have trails built, little to no right away on any leeway on either side. So it's actually on the animal hospital's property. I personally talked to them. They're very receptive to it. Looking forward to it. so long as trash is picked up, I'm not sure that it would be.
Okay, so this is, excuse me, one bench to replace the one you were talking about, and a trash receptacle on their property.
Yeah. Yeah, so you know the one that's built on the,
Oh, yeah, I know.
yeah, it doesn't work there. You sit down, if your legs swing, it's on a hill.
Yeah.
It needs to.
You sit on it, your feet are about 1.5 feet off the ground.
And the license agreement just kind of lays out whose responsibilities is what, clarifies that obviously Valley Vista, which is Hills Acres LLC, still owns that land around it, and we're just utilizing that space for our bench. So we are still in charge of picking up the trash and kind of maintaining our bench and around it. It keeps them safe and then also us.
And we don't have this issue anywhere else, do we? I think everything else is in the right of way.
No, we're good anywhere else.
Anything else from the board on this? Okay, hearing none, I need a motion to approve a license agreement with Hills Acres for a trash receptacle on a bench on their property.
So moved. Oh, second.
We'll go ahead and let you, move by Ms. Kennedy. Need a second?
Second.
Okay, the motion or been moved by Ms. Kennedy, second by Mr. Burton. All those in favor, Ms. Kennedy?
Aye.
Mr. Burton?
Aye.
Mr. Dietrich?
Aye.
And I am an aye also, motion carries.
Okay, my final item for tonight is consideration of amendment to the professional service agreement with Police, Life, and Vandenbrink. This is for a contract that was originally drafted, executed January 15th of 2019. And they're asking to add some services to evaluate and identify wetlands that may be impacted by the construction project. And the additional amount is $6,520.
So this is progress. This is, we are starting to get progress on, I'm gonna call it now the Aes Trail, because I know about that. This is the progress on that. So this will allow us to start getting data collected to pair lodging and permitting with IM state. We gotta have a wetland study with that. So this is the next stage of that. I will be working with Kelsey soon on getting appraisals on that. We'll start getting those hopefully purchased. Regardless of that, this is an additional service to do that wetland study because a portion of the southern trail where it meets up with the Aes Trail is going through a very low lying wet area. So they need to make sure they identify that.
And there's cattails probably growing. And
There is cattails there.
the whole 9 yards.
Yep. Yeah, very much so.
Yeah, so you didn't have, they didn't have this in the first.
No, it was more of a design development and then construction documentation of the trail. And then anything that needed to go for the permitting was outside of that. I took it out in 2019. This was probably originally in there and I struck it out because I knew how hard this process was going to be. So I didn't want to have, I didn't want to be holding on to that big contract flow at once.
Excuse me. Anything else from the board? Okay, hearing none, I need a motion to,
So a motion to approve the amendment to the professional service agreement with Life and Vandenbrink.
motion, yeah, just like she said, I'm sorry, I'm reading
That's all
something
right.
while you're talking.
So moved.
Good move. Need a second?
Second.
Been moved by Mr. Burton, seconded by Mr. Dietrich. All those in favor, Mr. Burton,
Aye.
Mr. Dietrich,
Aye.
Ms. Kennedy,
Aye.
I am an aye also, motion carries.
I apologize. The final item for you this evening is an amendment for the professional service agreement with Lehman and Associates for an additional amount of $15,500.
So we're making progress, as you can see. We have the master plan. We're going to be presenting to you guys tonight, public input. In addition to that, we were working on the alternative transportation plan also. And it's not at 15,000, it's not to exceed 15,000. Additional services coming from the city has come in, the planning department, and wanting to get their input into the plan. So it fits nicely within the comprehensive plan about annexation and future annexations in the city, and making sure the trail development is getting incorporated in the future annexation. So that is the cost increase in that. The extra work and the data that's going to have to be done for that, the presentations. I have talked to CBS, the Community Development Service here. They're willing to go in 33% of whatever is spent. So if it does go to 15,000, CDS will commit $5,000. But it's not to exceed $15,000 for additional services for the alternative transportation plan.
Any questions or comments from the board? Okay, hearing none, need a motion to approve the agreement addendum with Lehman and Lehman.
And it would actually be an amendment.
Okay.
So moved.
Been moved, need a second?
Second.
Been moved by Mr. Dietrich, seconded by Mr. Burton. Yeah, you got it first. All those in favor, Mr. Dietrich,
Aye.
Mr. Burton,
Aye.
Ms. Kennedy?
Aye.
I'm an aye also, motion carries. That is all from the city attorney. Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Next item on the agenda is the agreement master plan, Lehman and Lehman Associates. I think Chuck's with us.
Chuck, you there?
I am, thank you.
Chuck?
Rob, do you want to give any introduction or anything?
Yeah. Chuck, we've been working, everyone knows Chuck, I know Chris, I'm probably not familiar with him. Chuck also did, Mr. Lane also did our impact fee study. And then prior to that, he's done many years of impact studies for the city of Greenwood. What we'll be presenting now is kind of a summary of the 5-year master plan. It'll break down the objectives and the action item list of what we saw, what we found out, and then where we're going forward as far as the Parks Department in the next 5 years. So Chuck has put together a brief presentation to kind of outline all that. And in part, this is because of COVID and all the restrictions, it's been quite difficult to implement public participation, which is a mandatory item for the state. This in turn is being on Zoom and then having a public forum as well to encourage that participation for the public as well. So, Chuck, are you able to share your screen and your presentation?
Sure, very good. Thank you. And I wish I could be there tonight, but I had the privilege of coming down positive with COVID over the weekend. So I'm quarantining in my house this week. So let me share with you what I have going on, and let me see if I can get this up and running. Can you see my screen at this point?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, all right. Let me proceed through here. I think maybe you have a hard copy yourselves. So as Rob said, this is part of the BNR requirement that we present this not exclusively to the park board, but we do it at a public meeting that the public can have an opportunity to make comment and so on. So again, as Rob said, this was a challenging process in the fact that we did not have an opportunity to have a lot of face-to-face interaction with the public, but we did have a good response from their community community response to the survey. Some of the aspects of a master planning process is that you take a look at what DNR looks at is the progress that has been made since the last master plan, and that would include both the progress of what those actions were back then, looking at the inventory of your parks, your programs, your budgets, and that type of information. We did collect some community and agency input. We had over 685 responses last fall that ran from September 16th to November 1st. We had various work sessions with the Park Department Director and staff on formulating the action plan and formulating the goals of this process. Hold on, my screen just went blank. Okay, and currently we're, as Rob had shared, we're updating the Trails Master Plan and the Greenways Master Plan to incorporate that into the city's comp plan, which will be a complement to both of these planning documents. The schedule that we're looking at is 2020 was the collection of that data. We presented to your park board last March, kind of the summary of those community survey responses. We're presenting that action plan outline presentation tonight to the park board and to the public. Our plans are to finalize the documentation. This will then go down before the Department of Natural Resources for their review. We're anticipating that their response will come back either later this month or in November, so that we can come back at your December 7th Park Board meeting to present that final presentation and your approval of your 5-year plan. That is what our hopes and our remaining schedule for the master plan are. Some of the responses of the survey itself, some of this is we had shared before, but I want to highlight a few elements that we had to ask various questions on the usage of their facilities, what they see as priorities in the future in the next 5 years, and just giving some guidance from the community. The most used park facilities were the community center, the Freedom Springs, Craig Park, Freedom Park. The most uses of the park facilities, they felt that the benefit came from the quality of life, the health and wellness of what the Parks Department offers, and the connectivity of the trails and greenways. The number of times people responded that they visit the park facilities 11 times or more per year, which is, I think, higher than most park systems that we have been involved with. So that's a compliment. It's important leisure programs. They feel that all season recreation amenities were an important element, trail connections between parks. And that's somewhat typical in the various parks departments because, you may not live next to the park, but if you have a trailway that gets you there, you feel like you have a threshold to get to those various park facilities. Needed programs and activities include adult senior activities year-round for children and youth activities. Some of the elements that they feel the city should consider is developing more bike pedestrian pathways and to protect the open space and natural areas of the community. Keeping up with the demands, the park department should increase departmental budgets and create higher revenue producing activities. The promotion of Greenwood Parks, respondents came back with things like well-maintained health and wellness, the special events that are provided, and the enjoyment of natural areas. And again, I would take all of those as being very high compliments of what the park system is about. Top priorities that they felt the next 5 years regarding facilities was an indoor aquatics facility, expanding the trails and pathways and connections throughout the city. The new priorities or top priorities that they see in the program and services is additional festivals and community events along with aquatic programs. One of the other elements was the responses that we've been asking on the level of where they feel that they are engaged with the park and recreation facilities or the park department. And there's a slide coming up that will illustrate that better, but over 75% felt that they were engaged with the park department, which is higher than normal. Community perceived benefits of the parks as, again, the quality of life and health and wellness, which I think speaks loudly with many of the goals of the city and what they're providing in city services. Top sources for information on the park programs were social media, word of mouth, and the park's website. The responses from Greenwood residents was over 72%. The most populous age group was 36 to 50-year-olds, and the responses with children to under age 18 was 55%. This was that slide I was referring to, and I think I shared this back in March as well. But we've been asking questions of the communities that we serve, of how they feel that they are engaged with the various park systems. And again, if you look at that center column there where it says neutral, anything to the right of that would be that increased level of engagement. Anything to the left would be kind of the negative engagement. So you can see that over 75% of that the respondents came back on that area of engagement, which again, this is a good a pulse to take periodically to make sure that there is an engagement within the community. The park master plan will have things noting maps that will show the level of services that are provided throughout the community with the various parks sites, their locations, and where they fall within that within the overall community. You will recall back when we did the impact fee study, there was an exhaustive list of inventory of various elements within the park system, but also within the community, and provided by schools or other recreational providers outside the city department. The categories for the action plan, we broke down the 5-year action plan into different categories. They include trails, new park developments and land acquisition, individual park site actions. We've included administrative actions, program and services actions, and also maintenance and equipment actions. To have an action doesn't mean it has to have a price tag to it. It can be a policy. It can be something that doesn't carry a cost, but the action itself may be the element that is the key. So the format that we looked at was looking at that matrix of that 5-year plan. We got different columns and different database elements that will be able to be sortable to go back and do reporting to figure out what was done on each park site or each of those various actions. And it will be a useful tool for Rob and his staff to be able to utilize this as a format for the next 5 years as well. Some of the highlights of the various actions, the trail actions highlights were basically a lot of completions of trail loops themselves. We looked at also, and we're continuing to do this with this completion of the Trails Greenways Master Plan, but looking at where there's gaps in the trails. It's great to have a trail segment, but if that segment it has a gap in it, you can't make the other segment. That becomes a higher priority. So we're identifying those as we're going through this, but you can see the other ones noted there in this page. Some of the new park development and land acquisition actions, the planning and development of a 50 to 100 acre site, the action plan or the priorities that were noted in the recreation impact fee identified that level of service and what are the key elements of land that would need to be forecast over the next 5 to 10 years. And again, those were noted. So part of the action plan of that related back to the 5-year plan is to look at planning and development of that 50 to 100 acre site. Continuing the construction of the field house with the expected completion by the end of this year. Looking at the construction of the Woolsworth Rail Road Sports Complex, which will be a major regional draw for the Greenwood and for the overall community. Some of the acquisition of additional property next to Freedom Park. Some of the individual park highlights, I won't go through a lot of these details. They're in your handout, but we looked at things happening at the community center, at the various dog parks, Hampton Hall and that's development, the amphitheater park and some improvements done on that. Same with the children's gardens and that development. City Center Park, the community gardens area, looking at, again, amenities and improvements to those facilities to make them work better and more efficiently. Craig Park, the lighting of the pickleball lights and shades, Freedom Park, Freedom Springs, and Northeast Park. Again, much of this is just maybe noted recreational equipment in upgrades and improvements on that, but also some new amenities that will make those parks more useful and more enjoyable. The same with the various ones on here, the Northwest Annex Park, Summerfield Park, West Side Park, Woodman Park, and also University Park itself. Some of the administrative action highlights, some of these we're dealing with staffing. So looking at hiring 2 new park maintenance employees. And again, this would be over that five-year time period. Hiring 1 marketing production staff member, looking at hiring 1 tournaments program manager, a part-time staff for complementing the growing programs and activities, and then creating a customer service committee that would be made up of something that Rob will bring back to the park board for that makeup. Programs and services. You recall from the public survey, there was requests for additional programming and services provided for the staff or for the youth and adult programs, looking at expanding public art and also looking at a concert series and event lawn offerings through that. Many of these things will be studied over the next 5 years, and I'm sure Rob will glean the responses from the public on such actions along the way. Much of any 5-year plan includes looking at elements of it relates to equipment and maintenance equipment and what things needs to be replaced and new purchases along the way. So that has been noted as well. Some of the actions, the overall actions of the plan, and again, these are not set in stone, but they're met there for as a guide along the coming years. You'll see that we got some top heaviness in 21 and 2022, and then it falls back to a flatter portion on the remaining 3 years. Typically, that's done in purpose, in the fact that if you can't get everything done in 21 and 22, you got 3 more years to consider that. But again, what we're doing is a 5-year forecast. It's something that you will review hopefully on an annual basis to make adjustments along the way and to make sure that those are being fulfilled and complemented accordingly. We broke the action plan down into various elements, not only in summary, but also in the various sites and development areas, and those are noted as well in the documentation itself. So the remaining schedule is that I do want to hear your feedback tonight, but we will be looking at in the next week packaging up the final draft of the master plan. Again, the process that we do is we submit this down to the state for their review and comment. They typically have some type of comments that they come back. They want either refinements or some clarifications. We will make those and incorporate those back in October and in November. And then with the intent that we will have that finalized for your park board approval at your December 7th meeting. So we're meeting the deadline at the end of the year. By having the plan completed, not only gives you a 5-year action plan itself, it gives you something that you'll be able to use as a guide, but also be eligible for any state funding program that's offered through the Department of Natural Resources. Right now, the only program that is offered and requires a 5-year plan to be on record is the Land and Water Conservation Fund grant, which is administered through the Department of Natural Resources and is administered each year through a grant application match. So I will stop at that point, and if you have any questions, I'll be happy to answer them.
Chuck, almost 700 responses we got to the community survey. How were those collected?
How were those selected?
Collected. How did we get those 700 responses?
Chuck, I can answer that if you want.
Yeah, go ahead.
So we use different types of media to do that. So we use social media, we use the traffic that came in via the community center and also our website. I think we did a call out on our rec track. So we we harvest data from our rec track, and we actually targeted them via emails as well.
Okay. Well, there's a lot of information here, Chuck. We appreciate your hard work and the staff. I know these things are hard to put together and take a while.
They are hard to put together because it always seems like, especially for where we're at as a parks department, we have so many capital projects that are going on right now. And it's a matter of like the master plan's got to keep up with how we're producing. And then just finding time to get this thing, get it done and knock it out. So it has been struggling. Chuck's been
Always
really
seems
good.
like as soon as we get one done, we're ready to roll into another.
Yeah, Chuck's been great, he's been patient with us. This has been a good roll off from the impact fees to the master plan.
It's been an exciting project to work on. The fact that if we would have tried to draft up an action plan when we first got started, we probably were throwing the whole thing out and started over by the time we ended. And Greenwood community is growing and expanding in different areas of recreational services that hasn't been done in Greenwood before, and that's a very much a compliment. But it's also one that it's important to keep your finger on that pulse of planning to make sure that you're continuing to move in the right direction and in the correct direction.
Anything else from the board, staff?
Again, thanks, Chuck, again, Mr. Lane for all his help.
Again, Chuck, thank you, and we hope you're doing okay with the code.
Yeah, I appreciate it. I'm getting better each day. I appreciate that. And again, as I said, we'll submit something next week. And then we'll keep Rob involved with any of that progress, and we'll hopefully I'll be there in December to come down and we can present the final plan then too.
Do we need to open this up for public comment as well?
Yep, Tim was.
I believe so. I believe that's
We
what
should
you said
open up
for
public
today. Yes.
comment. Yep.
So any members of the public, online or in person, would like to comment on this? Now's the opportunity. Hearing none. Close that. Again, thank you, Chuck.
Thank you.
Take good care of yourself, buddy.
All right, appreciate it. Talk to you soon.
Okay.
Bye now.
Bye-bye.
Okay, next item on the agenda is the Parks Foundation report.
believe you have the report. If you guys have any questions, some of the highlights on that, we were able to complete and install the oldest, we're calling it the oldest tree project, very presumptuous, but acknowledging an old tree that's in Craig Park. We were able to put some historical facts to it, some environmental benefits to that tree. Be able to raise the money for that sign. You guys haven't been to the event hall, it's installed, it's very full of information. The sign looks great, and it was a good project for the foundation. Got any questions regarding Friends of the Park program or Paul's the Park program or the strategic planning? Be happy to.
The Friends of the Park program.
Yep.
How do they plan to remind everybody to keep their membership status up?
So there's a log, there's a key of everyone's status that's being kept. The idea is once enough money gets into the coffers, that we're actually going to have a display of a tree that had engraved leaves and it illustrates Friends of the Park. Briefly. So right now there's a ledger.
But it's a yearly,
Yes.
you want to do it each year. I mean, I want to do it each year, so
Same here. I just need
Somebody
I need a little nudge.
email me or go,
Yeah, we'll let you know.
Okay.
get her done, buddy.
Yeah.
Got a couple guys knocking on our door at midnight.
Yeah, we're in our infancy, so the ledger's not long. I mean, it's not, but that's how we do.
Okay, just curious.
Yeah.
Some of us need reminders.
Yeah.
Good work. We appreciate the foundation. Controllers report.
They are
We're
in,
not with it.
they are in French Lick. We're at a conference. Have any questions?
I know we got everything emailed to us. Yep. Anybody have any questions or comments that Rob might be able to answer? No. Okay. You got anything you want to bring up on the control? Okay. Aquatics report. I think Jen is with us. Did I say Jen?
Yeah.
Dan's with us, so
It is
Brooke.
also there.
Oh, Brooke.
That's Brooke.
I remembered your name this time. Sorry.
So winterization's going well, so I'm hoping to get that locked up this week, by the end of the week, so everything's getting all blown out and we haven't really had too many issues, so just gonna go along.
Next month, we'll have a P&L statement of the aquatic center for 2021 season. Share with you guys.
Rob, do we do all of our winterization in-house?
We do now. Yeah, that's probably, we didn't used to, we used to send it out. But, yeah, we do it all now. With Brooke learning and maintenance helping out. We do it all.
You, Brooke, you actually help winterize? That's awesome.
Yeah, I learned a lot from Spear, so when they came in and did their winterization, I followed them around and kind of showed me everything, so I learned how to do it all, so that way I could do it. And
She's
then,
probably better
Jenna
than
just
the
forgot
people
quite a
that do
bit.
That's really beneficial.
Pretty good job.
Yeah, she's good at it.
Anything else? Brooke, thank you.
Yeah.
Parks report.
You all have my report in front of you, I hope. Any questions you want to have to answer? Still planting some flowers, some fall flowers here. Kind of tough for me to get myself to pull them up the stuff that's already blooming. I'm getting real close to it. It is October.
It is looking good, though. It all looks really
The
pretty.
grounds look great. They really do.
It's fast enough.
Yeah, I really appreciate it. Do you have much flooding with all that rain we got 2 weeks ago?
No, not a whole lot of flooding. Just a couple creeks got out of it. No destruction.
No standing water at Old City Park?
No, northeast, yes.
Yeah, the Old City Park, I mean, that's probably the biggest rain we've had since we've
Yeah.
lived that project.
No, it ran, I was out during that, boy, it was running great.
Yeah, so it worked the way it's supposed to. That's
Yeah,
great.
it worked perfect.
Anything else for Jim? Okay, thank you, Jim. Trails.
I've got the update via approval, but Aes Trail, Northwest Aes Trail, everything is, the asphalt's in except the pervious on my last site visit. So pervious asphalt's got to be done. It's a different batch, right? It's got to be done completely different. So, I'm sure that's going to be done here very soon.
How's the seal coating going? Is it all finished up? It's all done?
I know they started out at University Park, so that has started, as far as the crack sealing goes. And it's gonna be a process, and they hope to get it done this year. So just chipping away each part at a time.
Anything else on trails?
That's all I have.
Okay, recreation report.
I have a copy of my report. We're finalizing details for the Halloween or Monster Mash on October 22nd, the Halloween parade on October 30th. Then we have 2 Christmas events left for the year, and probably at the next board meeting, we should have everything ready for our 2022 events. So band contracts and all that fun stuff will be coming down the pipeline here in the next few weeks. So we pretty much got the calendar all laid out for next year. Just gotta start making contact.
How's the participation going for the Halloween parade?
It's not bad. I mean, it'll probably be similar to last year again. Yeah, it's fun a little bit.
Yep.
Going back to Chicago.
Oh, go ahead.
Going back to Chicago. The day trip going back up. to
Oh, yeah,
Chicago.
so I think right now there's 28 people registered for that.
Jeff going?
He is not going this time. I think he's going. But I am gonna slide out to get to my son's last football game, so I'll see you guys later.
Okay. Thank you, Nick. We appreciate it. Okay, Fieldhouse Report. Ricky's here.
Should have a copy of the Fieldhouse Report. So mainly what I'm focusing on right now would be the new hires. So we have a second round of new hires starting this week, similar to the supervisors who will be at the community center. And we do appreciate us being there, as well as the loose equipment. So we have started to trickle in some things that we ordered, things that we got to have like longer lead times. Last week we started ordering appliances, which we know how long some of our appliances take. And then later this week we should be ordering some more. loose equipment.
Did they get the air conditioning going yet?
They did turn the air conditioning on.
Are they closing it on at night?
Are they
Where we
closing the
don't
building?
have, there are doors to close it where we don't have vandals?
Yeah, so I think the one place I know that is open would be the garage door on the, was that the east side, the northeast corner? Right now there's plywood up, so they're
I
trying to
saw
protect
that.
the facility as much as they can.
But they put it up at night, don't they, somehow prop it up or?
The plywood is up, yeah.
Yeah, okay.
So how many new hires do we have going right now?
The new hires that are coming in, I believe it's around 11.
Okay, how many are you short? Are you
Yeah, we
short?
are short now. We had 2 cleaners drop on us and a couple part-time staff, so we planned for it. We knew it was gonna happen. We actually interviewed more than we needed, so we can always give them a call back and have them come back there and talk with us.
Good.
But we planned for it to happen.
Anybody have anything else for Ricky?
Do you have any equipment on like severe back order that's gonna delay anything? I mean,
I haven't heard anything yet. I'm with our ice machine, but it's not something that we need right away. I think it's early January, late December right now. And we have an ice machine at the community center, well, through the spring, so.
Anybody got anything else for Ricky? Thank you, Ricky.
Thank you.
And we've got a painting considerations under the Fieldhouse Report.
This is a discussion point. It's been brought to my attention that there's been some direction on painting the field house as far as exterior, the existing brick. We have gotten quotes on that, just so you guys know. We do not intend at this stage on having that painted prior to opening, just to cost considerations. And we're watching our expenditures very close on this project. We have owner contingency, design contingency, and we have loose equipment, which is what we're covering from the field house as well. Those fund buckets don't leave you a lot of room for additional add-ons like this with the field house. Also want you guys to keep in mind that field house, particularly the eastern side, albeit very exposed right now off Meridian, it won't be. It'll be completely covered up by the development that'll be going in there in the coming years. So off of Meridian, looking west, you will only see little vistas of the field house from Meridian. You won't see it between the buildings. I will say the buttresses that are on the south end, you will see those that are brick, and of course the interior as well. I think all up, I think the costs were right around the $30,000 mark for that painting. But we are aware of it. We're aware of the chatter. But right now we're just kind of monitoring it. I don't foresee doing it within the project bid. Okay, so
what are you talking about painting?
The existing brick.
The yellow brick on the south end. Well, Rob, I'm gonna make a comment.
Yeah.
To me, 18,000 is not a lot of money for a $9 million building.
It's 30 grand.
30 is not much.
Right. So,
That, to me, that building looks horrible on the south end. It really does. And so, it'll be covered up in a few years, but it's gonna be open to the public for years. I just think that we need to try to come up with the money and get it painted. When it opens, it all should be great. And I don't handle the purse strings, but there has to be some money somewhere in this city to get that done. It's too nice a building. I have no further comment.
Well, I agree with you to a point. I would have liked to seen it all painted. But I understand when we're this late into the project, it's, there's contingency money aside for different things. There's little pockets of money here and there. But to pull the purse strings on those is not, I don't think it's as easy as I think it is. I'm sure it's a lot more complicated.
No, I understand
Yeah.
that, and I don't have any idea what the contingency fund was. I have no clue.
Right.
But
And
it's just 30,000 for a $9 million building.
And
It's,
I,
it's just, I don't like it personally.
so what we're going to do is we're going to let this project continue on and see what other contingencies are coming up. I don't foresee us using any funding that is within this project. I think it's going to be done outside, an outside contract.
Well, I agree with that.
With an independent painter.
I agree.
So we don't get markup from the GC.
Yeah.
But I just need to get to that point. There's a lot of things that need to be cleaned up. I think there's still a lot of undetermined variables
I'm
within
sure
this
there is.
building that we haven't discovered yet. So I'm careful on encumbering 30 plus something $1,000 on this at this stage.
No, I agree with you 100%, but I'm just saying, visually, it's not gonna look very nice, as far as I'm concerned. It looks so beautiful, the very front of that building. I mean, it's one of the prettiest buildings I've ever seen.
Yeah.
But then you look at the backside and to me, it just doesn't show very much class. But that's just me.
Anyway,
we're,
we're to open that up publicly. We are aware of it. We have potential intentions of addressing that. We're just going to see how the project continues to grow.
I'm sure once you get in there, you're
There's gonna be all kinds.
there's gonna be a whole laundry list of things that you wish you would have done, we could have done, should, could have, would have. And then we'll have
I
to
know.
prioritize those items.
I know we want it looking great and at top shelf day one, we open the doors. And I'm not saying that won't be a reality, but we're already coming into the season where that's not going to be a reality, right? So it might be that we wait for the season to allow us to get in there and then we address the situation.
So kind of on that note, where are we at with that? I mean, I read something in the paper today, and I know that's kind of a loaded question, and I don't expect you to give us an exact date, but I'm sure there's delays. There's delays with anything having to do with construction right now.
Well, we're not going to open that facility to the public until operationally it's going to serve the public and it's ready operational from day one.
Yeah.
So
And that is the exact answer I was looking for. Yeah, we don't want to open it up to the public until we can put our best foot forward with the operation of the facility, because anything short just opens us up. It just opens us up to, criticism that we don't need.
I can tell you what we don't want to do. I mean, we don't want to get a certificate of occupancy and then turn around and open the door to the certificate of occupancy, right? We got to give Ricky time.
Yeah.
We got to get it up to our standards as far as cleanliness. We got to get the operations going and everything trained about, the spaces and how they need to be treated.
Yeah.
It takes time. So that's what we're not gonna do. We're not gonna get certificate of occupancy and a week later open the doors. We're gonna get this thing onboarded.
And to be fair to you guys, when you've had some experience with this with new facilities, for, aquatic center is a perfect example. You could have opened the gates up there the first day, but you made sure you were able to put your best foot forward.
Right.
And I think anything less than that would be doing a disservice to the public. So, I have every confidence in the world in the procedures that you guys are following and the, just the steps you're taking. I think it's the right way to go instead of rushing into it.
Right.
There again, that's my personal opinion.
Sure. Appreciate it. That's all right.
Next item on the agenda is the community center report.
You guys have my report. If you have any questions, just let me know. We are expecting some rain later this week, so Big City should be really hot. I expect to be very busy. And I do have plenty of Fieldhouse staff to help out. We're doing pretty good.
You always get busy when it rains, don't you?
Yes, we did. We did.
Those extra hands over there, there's no dust bunnies, right?
No, no.
Well, numbers keep going up. That's all good. At least for the center. It's great. Anybody have anything else for sharing? Okay. Any other business from the public? Okay. Other business from the park board?
Coming your guys' way, myself and Assistant Director Jen, we've been meeting with each division now for well over a month. And they are being tasked on reviewing their user fees within their division. We feel that it's time that we review our user fees as far as the Parks Department goes, across the board, right? So this is a holistic, across the board review, examination of our user fees and procedures. And this is a heads up to the city attorney as well, that we will be presenting this to you guys. And also our schedule, our timeline is, I would like to have this for review here very shortly for you guys. I want it approved or considered for November. It gives us time to roll it out in December to get people ready for January 1. So again, across the board, all user fees for the Parks Department, from shelter houses, community center, aquatic center, events, all of it's getting reviewed.
I agree with that.
Yeah. Sure it's overdue. Okay,
That's all I have.
nothing else from the park board?
Rob, when you review those fees, you're gonna add in the field house, right? I mean,
All else is done.
You approved that resolution.
but you're not gonna revisit those?
No, because I don't have.
You know what, yeah.
Yeah. We set the field house, if you remember, they're a little bit higher.
Mhm.
So there,
And you're still confident with those fees? As best you can.
as best I can, because we have the precedent, we already have the precedent on the community center. I mean, the field house is an extension of the community center. We have to be careful on how much we grow that disparity between the two. So that benchmark was the community center.
Okay.
Nothing else? Signing the claim, that's all signed. And if there's no other business coming before this board, this meeting is adjourned.